All right, welcome everybody to another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know is near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is coffee.
Coffee.
Specifically coffee notes. We've all seen them. You pick up a bag of those fancy beans, and it tells you all about those notes of chocolate and berries, maybe even like tobacco or something.
Yeah, like leather.
Leather, there you go. I've even seen like notes of stone fruit or forest floor, getting really kind of out
It's
there.
very poetic, isn't it?
It is, it is. But it also makes you wonder, right? Like, is this real? Are these just like made up by some marketing team, or is there actually some science behind these coffee notes?
That's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Exactly. So we have this interesting little article here, and it basically questions this whole idea of coffee notes. Like, can they even exist?
Yeah.
And it kind of suggests that maybe it's a lot of hype, maybe even fake, maybe just wishful thinking or even intentional marketing.
Well, I think the source makes a really good point about the lack of scientific proof. Like where's the research that backs up these claims of like, hints of blueberry or whatever.
Right. Right. Because if there's no like research, no studies, how can we really say for sure that these notes are actually there?
Exactly. And the source even suggests that maybe these flavors that we think we're tasting are more about like what we want to taste, Like maybe it's all in our heads.
You mean like the power of suggestion?
Yeah, exactly. Like if the bag says it tastes like chocolate, maybe we just like convince ourselves that we taste chocolate.
Oh, that's interesting. So like reading about notes of caramel and hazelnut could actually make us taste those things, even if they aren't really there.
Exactly. I think that's a really powerful concept. Like our brains can be tricked into perceiving things that might not actually be present.
It's funny you say that because I remember this one time I bought this bag of coffee, right? And it was like all fancy. It had this long description about notes of like dark chocolate and cherry. Right.
Sounds delicious.
I know, right? But then I brewed it and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't taste like chocolate and cherry at all. Like I was so disappointed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it made me think like, maybe I just got caught up in the hype, Like I was so focused on tasting those specific flavors that I just ignored what I was actually tasting.
And that's the tricky thing about taste, right? Like it's so subjective, Everyone's going to perceive flavors differently based on, their genetics, their environment, their past experiences.
Your mood even, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's like what one person tastes as like a bright citrusy coffee, another person might taste something completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this whole idea that there's like a, quote, correct flavor profile for a certain type of coffee seems kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the source does say that, like each bean or cup has the consistency, but it's really not that simple, is it? I mean, think about all the variables involved in coffee production, right? You got the soil, the climate, the altitude, the processing methods, and then you got the brewing process itself, the grind size, the water temperature, the brew time.
I mean, you could even have two people brew the same beans the exact same way and still end up with different tasting cups.
Totally. So like this idea of a perfectly consistent flavor profile just doesn't seem realistic.
It's almost like the source is pointing out this interesting ideal, right? This perfect coffee world where every cup tastes exactly the same, but then reality kind of throws a wrench into that.
Definitely. And I think it's also worth considering like what are the ethical implications of all this, Like if coffee companies are using these fancy descriptions to like manipulate our perceptions and jack up prices, is that really fair?
Right, right. Because then it's less about the coffee itself and more about the marketing.
Exactly. Like, are they selling us an experience or are they selling us actual quality?
It's something to think about for sure.
It is.
So, I mean, I guess what we're learning here is that while coffee notes can be fun and maybe even a good starting point, we shouldn't take them too literally.
Yeah, I think a healthy dose of skepticism is always a good thing, especially when it comes to something as like hyped up as specialty coffee.
Totally agree. And at the end of the day, like the best coffee is the coffee that you enjoy drinking.
Absolutely. So as you're enjoying your next cup, you can just think about it like how much of what you're tasting is really coming from the coffee itself and how much is coming from like your expectations.
And maybe even challenge yourself to like taste the coffee without looking at the bag first. See if you can pick up on those notes without any preconceived notions.
That's a great idea.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep enjoying your coffee. Until next time, happy caffeinating.
Cheers.
Cheers.